My name is David Ross. I'm from Wilmington, Delaware, by way of Washington, D.C. I started playing golf, swinging a golf club, I was 8 years old. And actually going out to a golf course, probably between 9 and 10, and 11 years old, I was fully on board and going back and forth to the golf course. Well, you know, I was very fortunate, and I grew up in Northwest D.C., and we had Rock Creek Golf Course, and we had Langston, and there was another one at Fort DuPont. Many years ago, there was a great golf course at Fort DuPont, but of course, Langston was the home because Langston was a golf course that was open, and the city was petitioned to build this golf course because there were problems with African Americans playing golf in the early 60s and late 50s and even prior to that. But when you look back at it, it was something that was totally necessary because, you know, it's one thing to go to go somewhere and play golf and they will allow you to play, but you feel a little uncomfortable, if you would. Going to Langston, a golf course that was petitioned by the Royal Golf Club and the Wake Robins to build for African Americans and others because they didn't really have a golf home, that became a lot of pride. I mean, it was open prior to me playing there, but being a product of Langston and the Royal Golf Club has meant a tremendous amount to be in my life and the success that I've had, not only in golf, but as a professional. Wow, there were so many. You know, we had, at Langston, there were professionals, there were bricklayers, there were plumbers, there were doctors, lawyers, just everyone. But you know, the guys that stood out head and shoulders above everybody for the most part was the Royal Golf Club. And my best friend at the time, his dad was a police detective, happened to be a member of the Royals. And that's how I became affiliated with the Royals at a very, very young age. And then you turn some 40 years later, I become president of the Royal Golf Club, and which I held that post for about 12 years. The Royal Golf Club started back in 1936. A group of men got together because, again, the main concern, there was nowhere for them to play golf. They were playing golf at an area now is where the Jefferson Memorial is. They used to call it the Cabbage Patch. It was a dirt golf course, if you will, where they putted, well, that was grass, but they putted on, the green was just compacted dirt, if you would. And so the Royals and our sister club, the Wake Robins, petitioned the then Secretary of Interior to have Langston built. June 13th, 1939, Langston Golf Course opened. And being a member of the Royals, being the president of the Royals, just what they meant to the community, what they meant to the to other young golfers growing up. I'm here because of the Royals. Without the Royal Golf Club, I may not be sitting here. The success of that golf club still moves on. We work with our sister club today, the Wake Robins, who have a very aggressive program in helping young people get started in the game as well as with their education. I remember the name Hickey's. You can look it up. His name is Hickey's. The letters, I've got letters that were written, original letters that were written from the Royals to Secretary Hickey's to have that golf course built. Wow, you know, it's exciting. I was excited as a boy when I came in second place in the tournament as 11 years old, and I met Lee Elder. He gave me a putter and for coming in second place, in addition to my trophy. And that excited me. And also to be, as part of my golf journey, to rub elbows with Calvin Pete and Mr. Sifford and many others, and to be a part of a golf club that the first recognized professional, African-American professional, Mr. John Shipton, was a member of the Royal Golf Club. He played I think in the 1901 and 1902 US Open. They didn't realize that he was African-American, otherwise he wouldn't have been able to play, because they had the white-only clause, which stood fast until the 60s, if you can believe that or not, for African-Americans not to be able to play golf professionally. Well, Caddies had a very close net with professional golfers back in the day, and most of the caddies look like me. But today, that's changed because of you having so many sponsors that want to see others as caddies as opposed to African Americans. And that's what's really happened to the position that African Americans had held as caddies, professional caddies. They were some of the best caddies because they grew up as kids, shagging balls, working for local professionals, and then onto the PGA Tour. Now the only caddy of color comes from South Africa that you'll see on television. Well, you know what, it was strange with me being from Augusta, Georgia. I had a couple uncles that worked at Augusta National when they were seeding and things like that. And they had a makeshift golf course set up at a playground in Augusta. And I would see them do that. And I went back home as an 8-year-old kid, and I would have to wrestle with my brothers because I wanted to watch Shell Wonderful World of Golf, and they wanted to watch cartoons. That I was just smitten by it, just watching my uncles, if you would. And then when I started going to golf courses, there were other people, like I said, members of the Royals and some of the other clubs that were around Langston, because Langston was it was a mecca for golf. We would travel back and forth to places like Turnersville, New Jersey, to play at Bill Bishop's course. When you start talking about the history of golf, you can't have that conversation without talking about Bill Bishop. Prolific golfer, had a golf course owned and operated by an African American. Langston Golf Course. And then again, other folks you want to mention is Renee Powell and her family. The Powell family should be looked at as the first family of golf for African Americans. Powerful story. She made the PGA Tour. Her dad came home from the war in World War II, bought the land, developed the land, built a golf course, ran it until he passed. She and her brother still run it.
Wow.
It's quite a story. Golf is something, as you can tell, it's a passion of mine. I love golf. I can sit here and talk to you about it all day long. And I know, because I love it, and I'm passing mine on now. I've got a golf program, a golf academy and learning center that I started. I just moved to Wilmington, Delaware from DC, and I started this program. For the first time last year, I enrolled 171 kids. I could have enrolled 500 if I had the resources. Because what we do is we go to playgrounds, recreation centers, community centers, and we bring the kids out. And they are eager to learn. And not only that, we're trying to also find out those that have problems with their education, reading, whatever it is, to find out what the root cause is and get them help. Very proud, excited. I can't wait to tell my story to another kid, and another kid, and another kid, and another kid.